retard.
Good evening. How are you all doing? I hope you're all well. A big welcome to my moderators. Lee, hello. Yoda, Melintley, hello. Yoda, I hope you're doing well. Voyager, good evening to you as well. Helme, hi. Either Pilot, hello. Danny, hello to you. Aaron, hello. Miss Dylan, nice to see you. Aaron. Eagle Motion, Abin, wie geht's? Und Simone, hi. Right, welcome, welcome. Thank you, Mark, for the overlay. Always much appreciated. Right, cool. Yeah, so what are we up to today? We are doing the following. We're going to be flying the FSLabs A320, and we're going to practice some abnormals. I've got my Checkride coming up in the sim this week, so always a good time to go back and just prepare. So what I normally do is... Oh no, it's doing that again. Guys, I don't know why it's messed up. One of the thrust levers, I'm not sure if it's decided to break or something, but that seems to have twitchy inputs. Yeah, what I normally do is when I prepare for check rides, obviously one part is to go through our leaflet that we get. So there are certain topics. Oh, there we go. So it's doing that again. Let's see that. Why is that?
Could new subscribers please make your way to the first class cabin, where complimentary drinks, snacks, and premium flight entertainment will be served. Thank you.
Ah, I know what it's doing. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Found you. I found you. For some reason, it's doing this as an axis, but why is it? Hang on, hang on, hang on. Hold on. There we go. Disregard that. Found the culprit. For crying out loud. There we go. That's fixed it. Yeah, I prepare by reading through the leaflet that we get for preparation purposes. And there's always a certain test pass. There's always a certain, you know, kind of... how would you say, syllabus? That's the word I was looking for. Kind of a syllabus with certain topics. And as always, you don't know exactly what you're going to get. So if I talk to someone, let's say a first officer that just had his check ride, and he would tell me, oh yeah, we had, you know, FMGC 1-2 failure, that doesn't mean that I'm going to get it. There's a range of topics that the instructor will choose from. So every instructor has their, you know, speciality, if you like. You know the general topic. So, for example, for the first part, when we start out in the simulator, which is a 4-hour check ride, we'll start out with a flight from A to B, and there'll be several things happening on that flight. And so the reason why we do this is the instructor will have a look at our crew coordination concept, at our crew resource management, at our communication style, see how we work together as a, you know, freshly formed team, because quite often you'll fly with someone that you've never flown with before. So that is, you know, just to see how, you know, how you stand, how you communicate, how you apply checklists, if you, you know, use the right wordings, if you do the right steps at the right time. And then you do, yeah, just a flight from A to B. It's about 2 hours, and there's several things that will happen in that first 2 hours. But it's based around a normal flight from A to B. So we'll start out at the gate normally. We'll, you know, go through normal preparations with the MCDU, all the setups, the briefings. We'll taxi out for departure, and then we'll depart, and then, you know, things will happen. So that's what we call an evaluation phase. So the instructor will evaluate, you know, your current kind of performance with many aspects. So we've seen, you know, communication aspects, procedural aspects, leadership competence aspects, all kinds of things that will be graded and monitored. And then the second part, so the second or the second 2 hours will be what's called a maneuvering phase, where we do the legal required abnormals. So that's always pretty much the same stuff. So the FAA in Germany, and I'm pretty sure it's probably because EASA based, it's probably, you know, at least in Europe, the same kind of program where there are certain blocks that have to be performed, and one of them is engine failure. So engine failure just after V1, where you have to do the recovery, the climb out, the procedure. Then you'll do one single engine approach with a single engine go around, and then you'll do a second approach with the landing. And then you have, this time we have emergency descent actually as a topic, so that's something we'll check. Then we've got the low-vis option, or the low-vis is an option, but low-vis stuff with takeoff, rejected takeoff, that may lead into evacuation, maybe not. And then we've got the low-vis approaches, that's always required. We normally have a TCAS avoidance, and we have a TCAS procedure, and we have normally a terrain pull-up maneuver that we have to do. So these things are mandatory, and so those things aren't really the big surprise.
Thank you.
Yeah, probably it is. Right, let me give a big shout out, first of all, to Eagle Motion. Big thank you for the resub. Eagle Motion, thanks for your membership, thanks for your support. Big thank you from my side. That's really kind. And Nickstam, thank you as well. Nickstam, for your subscription as well. Thank you so much for the membership, for the financial support. That means a lot to me. Thank you so much for that. And so a couple of more people have stepped in. Thank you much for watching. Stepke, Christian, Emil, Forward, Aigudevi, wie geht's? Christian London, Indian Virtual Aviation, hello to you as well. And I think I said hello to everyone. Good. What else is there to say up front? Yeah, obviously, you know, one of the big things is always going to be weather. It's Alex, how you doing? So there's always going to be, you know, things to consider with regards to, well, you know, are you going to be able to do a safe approach? So you go through your, you know, your fact findings, your options, your decision making, you know, the rechecking, execution, etc., or the risk benefit evaluation, and then the execution, and then the recheck as you go along. And we'll see what happens today. So we'll fly from Munich to Vienna. That's the plan. And we're going to set out. Now, we know the following. I know that the weather is as follows. So right now, Munich. Oh yeah, and by the way, guys, I'm using the FSI panel again. I really like this app for you know, training, because I can really quickly set the values. And I know from my rethink package that the wind is going to be 350 at 10. It's going to be 3 kilometer visibility in Munich. It's going to be 23 degrees. The QNH is going to be 10-10. Hey Bob, how you doing? What route do you request for fly? No, I don't request. So so Bob, we get told what routing we have. We can't choose. So everything's set. It's a fixed program. Again, we know the weather. We know the takeoff weight. We know the aircraft type, obviously, because we're going to fly a certain simulator. So if we're going to start out with a 321 simulator, I'm using it 320 today. It doesn't really matter. So overcast 1,000 feet roundabout, and it's actually raining right now. So we'll send the weather. It's going to change the weather now, and voila. There we have the current weather. Lilo Pilot question. The Mad Dog will be out in 5 days. Nice. Yeah, it's good because by that time I'll hopefully have, you know, successfully passed my Checkride, and that way I can completely, you know, focus on flight simming again. Hey Max, how you doing? Right. So these are the conditions, and I'm quickly going to load in the routing. So I actually prepared that on SimBrief. Let me just go ahead and press AOC menu in it. Thank you, Max. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so you may ask yourself, well, you know, why, you know, does it make sense to use a flight simulator to practice for your Checkride? And I will say, well, yeah. One of the things is I can practice certain things. Even if you take away the abnormal side, just the simple programming of the MCDU and preparations regarding departure and arrival. Yeah, Simone. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. We'll just prepare the cockpit, and then we'll go through all the items in a minute. Thank you much for the reminder, though. The thing is that by doing that, I'm already looking at the MCDU, what we have implemented. So I know, for example, that the alternate is going to be Bratislava. I know what flight level I'm going to fly. I actually also know which departure runway I'm going to get and which departure route I'm going to get. So I can actually implement that or insert that and already look at the approach and departure charts. Yes, colon flight. So I have a certain kind of range of failures that I have to expect. So we're going to expect the approach runway 29. Is it 29? Hang on. No, it's 34. So in Vienna, we're going to have the runway 34 ILS, and we're going to take the Mars 2 Whiskey arrival with the NERA 4 November transition. So these things, by seeing that visually, actually, you know, seeing that in the MCDU, preparing your departure route, these things really kind of already put you at ease because you know the briefings, you know the speciality regarding terrain, the nav setups. These things will make you more comfortable. So the moment that I go into the flight sim or in the real sim, I already have kind of a common feeling. I know what to expect. No, Bob, the reason why I'm not flying on a network is because then I can't talk to you guys. I can't explain, I can't pause the sim and simply explain, some of the systems, why there's certain things. I'm going to ask you some questions today. You'll be involved because the failures that we're going to do are actually quite interesting. So you're going to learn a little bit more about system knowledge as well, which helps. Oh, okay. So sorry. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I need to change that. Thanks. That's good tip. Yeah. There we go. So now it should say offline. Cheers. Yeah, cool. All right, now it says offline. Thank you much for that. Cool. I was going to go ahead and go plus. So it's going to be blackbox 1 engineout.com. And it's going to be airport data. Man, I went cycling just 2 hours ago. And believe it or not, the last... Again, I've had this so many times. I start out in sunshine. And I looked at the weather radar before. There was no bigger rain cells visible. Then I come back. So I cycle out 15 kilometers and I come back 15 kilometers. And the last 5 kilometers, I see this huge black cloud, and I always see some rain falling out of it. And I'm like, it's, you've got to be kidding me. Yeah, exactly. Like, really, So, yeah, I get absolutely drenched on the last 5 kilometers. And it actually started, thunder, I heard a thunder as well. And I'm like, no way. Why? Why does it happen now? It's been dry for the last 4 days. Yeah, free shower. Tell me about it. So, Munich. Here we go. So, in the A page filled out. In the B page, we're just going to use standard values. 56 tons. We got about 5 tons of fuel. Yeah, about 5. Actually, let's take a bit more. Actually, no, 5 tons is fine. Yeah, let's take 5 tons though. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I have to go out and do some cycling. I spent a lot of time in front of the PC, and actually I sat outside as well, looking through manuals and procedures. And I really enjoy cycling, so that was a good thing. So in the A page, in the B page, and I would like to have, let's see, the Auto is Bratislava, that's nearby. Only takes 0.7 tons of fuel. So we have about 800 kilograms, I would say, extra fuel. What does the flight plan say? Yeah, 600 kilograms plus 200, about 800 kilograms extra fuel. That's fine, about 20 minutes. You've done so much Condor and Lufthansa cargo flights in A320 Expert. Nice. Yeah, isn't it cool how you feel more comfortable? Yeah, it's I would say a warm-up. It's just, you know, familiarization. It's just something that makes you feel more comfortable right from the start. And that's something that really helps you just to then, you know, you have, at least I feel like I have more, what is that? I have more, well, kind of more, you know, free resources in my head. That way, so I feel more comfortable. I know, you know, what to expect with the departure route, arrival route. No surprises there. Also, I know, you know, a certain amount of relations with where's, you know, from Vienna, where's Linz Airport, where's Graz Airport, etc., etc. So, you know, all these things, these kind of little things that really help. Hey, home email, doing good. How are you doing? Good. We're going to fly level 290 is planned. It's a short flight, as we said. So routing is closed. Perfect. So RatNav. Let's have a look at the departure route. Actually, I already stored that. So this is going to be the Kirdy 3 Whiskey departure, is it? Yeah, Kirdy 3. Actually, no. So disregard. It should be Kirdy 3 Sierra. Sierra or Whiskey? Hang on. No, Whiskey. So 3 Whiskey, the longer one, is what we're going to fly. So we're going to climb up level 70. And it says climb on bearing 261 to Mike Sierra Echo. So that's the first thing I'm going to put in here. 358. Yeah. And then we're going to continue to 14.2 Delta Mike Sierra. Perfect. And then we're going to turn left, intercept Oscar Tango Tango 281. So Oscar Tango Tango will go here. Ottersberg. And that's going to be 101 course inbound. And then we'll turn left 081 course, or radial actually, to Mebeck, and so on, Kirdy. Perfect. So the speed restrictions. Let's see, we've got max 220 knots until 5D East Delta Max Sierra, max 250 until established inbound Oscar Tango Tango. So that turn has to be flown in 250 knots, even if you are higher than level 100. Good. So that's the RatNav setup. So Nexus performance. The thing is, normally, well, actually, no. Let's calculate the performance here in the sim. So we're going to take Munich. I'm going to take 26 left, and it's going to be actually full length. Bravo. Actually, no, sorry, full length. Yeah, Bravo 14, full length. We have a wet runway, obviously. So, well, Icon is going to be on, but it's warm enough, so it's going to be wet runway. Takeoff weight 61.2. Well, let's take 60.1. Let's take a bit more. 61.4. And config. Well, let's take 1 plus F. That's all fine. Cool. Let's go. Actually, hang on, it's 10-10, isn't it? Yeah, it's supposed to be 10-10. Disregard. And why has it got... Oh, hang on. Hang on. Weather? Ah, okay. So it's not taking... It's taking the live weather, it seems. So 23 degrees. And the wind is 350 at 10. I'll take 5. Air conditioning off. There we go. That was good. Cool. Well, the thing is, so Chainsaw Rocks, the reason is the FSLabs calculator here is based, it seems, off the British Airways. So you will get, very often, you get config 3, even though you have a 4,000 meter runway, which doesn't really make sense. Right, so that's why. So as far as I've heard, British Airways likes to use flaps 3 for takeoff to reduce the time on the runway and to have lower V1, VR speeds. So, you know, reduce the time on the runway. So that's what I've heard, but again, we don't do that. So we quite often in the wingtip fences and even the sharklets will have, you know, config 1 plus F. The Neos quite often will give you a config 2 standard flap setting for takeoff. Cool. Done all that. Diff rips. So engine out, acceleration. Let's have a look. It's 3,000 feet. And the procedure is simply straight out 261, 25 miles. Now, it's advisable. And we have NADP 2, so 2490. Whenever you're on a simulator doing a check ride, it's always a good idea to draw in that track line. I know we flight simmers, you know, we will normally determine whether or not we have an engine failure, so we don't normally feel the need to put that in, but trust me, in the simulator on a check ride, you want to do that. So we'll do that here, 261 radial, and we can do that to 25 miles. Bam. Cool. Diff rips, secondary flight plan, and again, of course, as always, quick return plan in case anything goes wrong. So, Munich, arrival, 26 left, 4,000 meter runway, no star, no higher. No, not necessarily. No, not necessarily. The thing is that with a config 3 takeoff, you lift off quicker, but your climb out performance is a lot worse compared to a flaps 1 plus F, because 1 plus F has a lot less drag. So as a matter of fact, you do not reach acceleration altitude faster that way, and less time on Toga Flex. That's something you have to realize. Exactly. So second segment performance does get worse in case of engine failure, for example. Yeah, definitely. Right. So return. That's all done. So we've done the diff rips secondary. All right. So let's have a look at the data. It's current. There we go. So A320 sharklets, no technical issue. We have fuel 4.9 tons currently. Engines already running. Distributed nicely, and that will give us a bit extra of about 28 minutes, it says, for Vienna. Oh, actually, yeah, for Vienna. Bratislava is the ultimate airport. Cool. So, takeoff weight 61.2 tons. We've done our calculations. Full length 26 left. It's going to be config 1 plus F takeoff. Let's do the flaps here. So flex 66, speeds 44, 44, 44, transition 5,000, and the DP2. Engine out acceleration is 3,000 feet. The departure route, Key 83 Whiskey, I've already briefed that, so we're going up level 70 according to the routing, and speed restriction 250 until we inbound. Now what I can do is actually, I'm going to limit the speed here all the way to Ottersberg. That way, that turn should be drawn in a bit better, a bit tighter. We'll see. So that is 058 overfly, and it should have 250. Yeah, there we go. So let's put 250 here as well. And that way, that turn should be better then. Hopefully. Right, anyways. Good. So we're climbing 70. In case of engine failure after V1, climb out straighter runway track to 25 miles if we have to. Engine acceleration is 3,000 feet. Once the engine is secured, we have cleaned up. And we'll get radar vectors. We're going to climb 4,000 feet. That's safe above sector altitude. Get radar vectors in the south. Runway 26 left. Hey, Flying Wolf, how you doing? RTO, we have enough stop margin, so not critical until V1. Yeah, thrust loss, aircraft not controllable, ATC call, all the cautions warnings coming through the inhibition phase. So Alberto, our performance calculator will give us these values. So when we have our calculator, it will tell us if we have oh, actually, no, sorry. No, you mean the normal. So the engine out will be in here. So the engine out acceleration. But the normal thrust reduction and acceleration values are, for us, in the AOI. So in the charts. In the airport operational information. So somewhere in the departure infos, we'll have usually right at the bottom, last page, right at the bottom, it'll tell us which departure procedure we have, NDP1 and NDP2. Now, normally, it's most often NDP2, so we rarely do anything else. Good. Anything else? Any questions? What happens if you fail your check ride? How many chances do you get? Well, that's actually quite a serious thing. So, you know, we have 2 days simulated. So the first day is the evaluation phase, and then followed by the maneuvering phase. And the maneuvering phase is what really counts. So after your first day, you will get told whether or not you passed or you have failed. So if you fail, you get a recheck. It's biannual, so twice a year. We have the check rides in the sim. And one is the operator check and one is the license check. So every 12 months you have the license check, but for the operator check that also counts. You can also fail that. That's then again every 12 months. That's again separated by a certain amount of months, normally half a year. No. So actually, once you fail, you'll have your recheck within like 1 or 2 weeks. It's right afterwards. So you get told why you failed. So you have some time to prepare again. But you don't get extra training. So it's not as if, you know, you have another simulator, a training ride, and then another check flight. No. The next simulator is then going to be your check again. So let's have a look. We're going to do the after start flows. So the flaps are set. Do that. That's all done. So let's read the after start check. Anti-ice not required is off. Status is checked, and the trim should be round about. Let's have a look. It should be down 0.4. There we go. Let's do a flight control check. Well, yeah, so if you fail again, if you fail it twice, you actually... There we go. Full down, full up, neutral, full left, full right. Full left, full right. Hey, Frederick. How are you doing? Yeah, doing well. Thanks for asking. How are you doing? Good. Yeah, so if you fail twice, you get, there will be an assessment board. So all of your records will be looked through. And then the board will assess whether or not to give you another chance. So extra training and then another chance. But quite often, yeah, you will see that, yeah, you actually fail. And you lose your job. You're doing good? That's good to hear. Right, so before takeoff checklist, let's have a look if we've done everything. Yeah, parking brake is set, that's fine. So we've got before takeoff checklist. Flight controls checked. Flap setting 1+F. Speeds flex 144, 144, 144. Flex is 66. And economy takeoff no blue. Down to the line. Line up cleared for takeoff. That's all done. TCAS is on. Weather radar is on. Let's do this. Bilal, hey, how you doing? So be aware, I am, of course, doing abnormals. Now, I am on my own. So normally I would have a very competent, very motivated first officer with me that monitors my flight path, that monitors my actions, and will help me if I kind of, get overloaded, if I get tunnel visioned, if I make mistakes, he would or she would let me know. I don't have that here today. I have you guys. You guys can let me know if I forget something. And again, this is training, so if I mess up something, I'll do it again. But yeah, it's training. Good. Dream team, exactly. That's the spirit. I like it. I like it. Good. Horrible weather. It's rainy, but the wind is 300 at 10. Actually, is it? Yeah, 310. So from the right. Good. Are we ready? Let's do this. Oh, hang on. Let's just see. Do I have a camera? I do. Right, there we go. Cool. We are ready. Let's go. Sounds of it. Take off. We've got nothing there. Right. I don't know why auto thrust. That's an FSLabs bug. That's why I put this to Toga. If we don't get the right indication there. I think that's because we had the issue with the thrust lever knots checked. View on, rotate. Off the flight. I'll activate that now. There we go. So Mantoga SRS nav. No, so it's a 3-man flight deck, or 3-person flight deck. 1, 2, there we go. We got thrust climb, alt blue, and oh, sensor. Hang on, what's this? Oh, careful with speed. Oh, I would say wind shear, Toga. So let's follow the flight director commands. Look at that, 37 knots there, 34. Wow, that's really careful with the speed here. Try not to overspeed the flaps. Wow, that was quite a wind shift there. Right, we're still climbing.
Autopilot.
Hey, Andrew.
Autopilot.
Hold on, let me get right way out of the wind shear, it seems. Transition as well. Let's go back to normal procedure. Thrust climb up through auto thrust. Autopilot 1 on. Already going out star. So the important thing is if you get wind shear, you call out wind shear Toga and you put the thrust levers into the Toga notch. And the call out is very, very important because the other crew member will need to know what you're doing. But by calling out wind shear Toga, then everyone knows. Right, S speed is there, flips, flap 0, speed check, flap 0, do the cleanup. It's interesting because normally we get wind shear training or wind shear scenarios in the approach. Very rarely do we get wind shear on departure. So that's something, yeah, you want to practice at some point. Be aware that the wind shear procedures or the wind shear detection may not work because you're already outside of the normal zone where the system is active. So, for example, at takeoff, the system, so the warning for the reactive wind shear is available 3 seconds after takeoff to 1,300 feet radial altimeter. So if you are above 1,300 feet above the ground, even if you have a clear wind shear indication, the system will not call out wind shear anymore. So it's the duty of the pilots to monitor that and actually have you know, a good sound judgment whether or not you have a wind shear situation where you want to use that Torga power and just make sure that you use all the energy you have available to get altitude, to get you out of that wind shear situation. If you're hesitant, you could lose very important seconds that, well, could get you in trouble. You get uncomfortable feeling you won't reach. Well, we'll see what happens. Right. So we'll report, as always. We would report in with the tower, or the departure controller would say, hey guys, we had a negative wind shear by 30 knots, passing 2,000 feet. So that way the controller can warn the other pilots that are just about to take off. Hey Sector, yeah, Lax, that sounds interesting. So nice plane spotting, 30 knots winds. Big thank you, Andrew. Big thank you for the €2 donation. Hi Captain, wish you a wonderful flight. Cheers. Well, thank you so much for your support, Andrew. Thank you for your donation. Here's a big round of applause. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, Captain Beer Bear, yeah. So I wish that it would come out on Friday because Friday I'm going to stream. Saturday I've got to work, Saturday, Sunday, but Monday I can stream it. Looking forward to it. So I'm going to program the next failures. And then we'll see how that goes. So passing 10,000 feet, let's get 10,000 foot flow going. Lights off, it's quiet. Signs auto off. Go into the RATNAV, clear RATNAV. Then we're going to go ahead and secondary flat plan copy active. And last but not least, we'll get the fix info page open and clear up any fixes that we've put in. There we go. Right, so a moment of scary wind situation, but that's about it. Yeah, me too. So, Captain Beer Bear, I am, very, very eager to find out how other aircraft in Microsoft Flight Sim actually feel like to fly. So I've got the Phoenix. So I'm testing the Phoenix. I know what that feels like to fly. And we're going to get the PMG 737 and then the Mad Dog. And I'm really curious. Yeah, good catch. Excellent, Yorda, you're awake. Excellent. Engine anti-eye is going on now. Perfect. Good catch. So Yorda just witnessed or saw the total air temperature going below plus 10 degrees Celsius. We are in clouds. That is icing conditions. Oh, okay, sorry, yeah. Hey, Chris, how are you doing? Chris, nice to see you. Hope you're doing well.
Hello, Black Box.
And Reynold, moin, wie geht's dir? Yeah, so guys, we found out that it's really annoying. Maybe someone knows. what to do. So if you subscribe, or if you have subscribed to my channel here on YouTube, and then afterwards you changed your nickname in YouTube, then when you resub here on the channel, it doesn't give out a message anymore. Not out of clouds. Aerosoft better than FSLabs? Not for me, no. But I don't have the Aerosoft 320, so I can't really say. But if I unlock the FPS, I get around about 50, 55 FPS. Except London Heathrow, of course. But the rest is quite good, actually. So not really much to complain about. So one thing I would have loved to show you guys, but we're going to have to postpone that until the Phoenix comes out, and that will be a flight management guidance computer failure 1 and 2. The toll list is really terrible when it comes to abnormals, Christian, I'm sorry to say. I'm not bashing toll list. Toll list is a very solid add-on, but I cannot use it in any form for abnormal training because the ECAM checklists are just not correct. That's why, yeah, I can't recommend that. Is the FSLabs a must-have? Well, I mean, you know, if you have P3D and if you're looking for a simulator that's really well modeled and you enjoy the A320 series, then yeah, the FSLabs is the way to go. But I can tell you something, I mean, there's still work to be done on the Phoenix abnormal section. But I've tried the FMGC 1 and 2 fault 2 days ago, and it worked really well. So, yeah, I'm not surprised. Now the other failures, there's some failures that need to be corrected. So you know that's what we're doing at the moment, which would be good. Hopefully they fix everything, and then yeah, I mean the possibilities in the Phoenix regarding abnormal stuff is a lot better than the FSLabs. Have I tried the Airshot A330? No, and I don't think I will. Do you think P3D still has a future after so many add-ons being released for Mac? Well, I guess for people that have P3D and have invested a lot of money in P3D, I would say yes, there is a certain future for it. However, P3D is actually struggling with one thing, and that is visuals. Hey Thomas, how you doing? Nice to see you. Yes, Airbus fan, I know. How you doing? Airbus fan, we talked about the tap incidents. I'm sure you read about that. That went over the houses at, what was it, runway 3, was it 29, 28? I forgot. Went over the houses there. I wouldn't say I hate Aerosoft, but I had some issues in the past with Aerosoft, let's put it this way. 3-0, yeah, so they had the open reverser, it seems, and went really low over those houses. Man, that was scary.
Welcome aboard the Captain Blackbox Twitch channel.
Is it really? So gift spec? Okay, interesting. Well, I mean,
Please make your way to the first class cabin.
I guess the thing is this: we've kind of gotten used to, you know, the Microsoft standard now. So that's something, obviously, you know, that is there, and I've you know, the last flight we did to Brussels, I was blown away by the visuals. I was so blown away, and yeah. So again, you know, that kind of has set the bar, and I think anything that is updated and not reaching that kind of level will be, well, I don't know, will be downplayed and will be disliked. GPU, I've got a 2080 Ti. That's got 12, was it 11 something? 12 gigabyte, I think. Yeah, and P3D at the moment, I don't know what they're planning. They're very secretive on what they're doing, so. Has Phoenix Simulation done any previous aircraft? No. No, Emil. So it's based upon ProSim, A320 software. So Phoenix has not done anything else prior to. DMC, yeah, we can do that. Yeah, I can show you that. Which one do you want failed, Mr. Andrex? Oh, there we go. Hang on. Oh. Right, we've got master caution, nav, radio altimeter 1 fault. And, well, it's not showing anyways at the moment because we're above 2,500 feet height. But we just had a failure. So what would you guys do? Well, ECAM actions first of all, right? So ECAM actions, nav RA1 fault. There's no actions, so clear nav, clear. Status, stop ECAM. Let's have a look for reset, computer reset or CB reset. Restart the aircraft, yeah. So, yeah, we check the circuit breakers and we see all the circuit breakers are in. There's nothing popped. Reset is not available. There we go. Yeah, I mean, no reset possible. So continue ECAM read status. Status Cat 2 only. In-up systems, radio altimeter 1, Cat 3 is in-up, and GPWS. So the ground proximity warning system is in-up. How about this now? So let's say remove status. ECAM actions complete. So now we go into the fact-finding options, etc. So GPWS. Is that going to be a problem for us? No, they're not memory items. So the A320 actually has very few memory items. Reynolds, very good answer. Very good answer. Exactly. So we have a table where we look at the system requirements. So even though it says on the status, it says Cat 2 only, we would actually have to check our documents and check whether or not this is actually correct. We may have on our paper document regarding approach capabilities with failed systems, it may actually say Cat 1 only. Even though the aircraft can do Cat 2, we have a more limiting procedure for Cat 1. It could happen. So DMC failure, let me just go ahead. I can quickly do that. So by going into here, right level, just do that quickly. So what we can do is go into failure, then go into display indicating DMC. So 1, right, DMC 1, right. So DMC 1 fault, fail now. It's going to be programmed in now, and then it'll pop up. Aaron, very good answer. Yes. So, oh, there we go. Digital management computer 1 failure. That's what it looks like. So if you have a very good knowledge, system knowledge, and you're kind of time pressed, the first thing I would do is I would say you've control. I would glance over to my first officer side and say, hey, you know what? You've got indications. I don't. I would say, hey, I've lost my primary flight display and nav display. You've control. Right. First officer will take over, press the autopilot 2, and say, I have control. So he's now pilot flying, I'm pilot monitoring. So I'm going to do the actions now. I'm going to say EIS, DMC1 fault, start procedure. Or ECAM actions. It's actually it's not a paper, so it's actually a computer checklist. So ECAM actions, EIS, DMC switch Captain 3. So we go in here, EIS, DMC Captain 3. And voila. Now I'm getting my information from DMC 3. So I can read MAC, alt cruise, nav, autopilot 2, or the thrust. No more action items, so clear EIS, clear status. Again, stop ECAM, read state, or stop ECAM, and then have a look for the possibility of doing a circuit breaker check, of doing a reset table check, etc., etc. No, we don't fail all the DMCs, though. That's nasty. Yeah, exactly. So it has lots of redundant systems. So, you know, be it for the IR part or the ADR part or the DMC part, etc., etc. Cool. So we're going to go and clear this failure. Clear malfunction. There we go. So now we've got everything back again, and we're back on the RA1 in up. All right. So that's the current state. Cool. Now, as we fly along, we're going to get the weather from Vienna. I'm going to start preparing for the approach. So again, this simulator flight would be, you know, just like in real, you have a flight from A to B. You would do your normal stuff. The instructor would actually play the role of the purser. So he would probably call you up at some point. So, hey guys, you want something to drink? Shall I bring out a tea or coffee or something? Water? Right. So he would try to disturb you, right? So he'll do the ATC. But he'll also play the cabin crew, which is quite funny sometimes. So let's get the weather for Vienna, but let's also get the weather for Bratislava. Let's just make sure that we have a good alternate airport available. Very good thing. Yeah, ATC will be simulated as well. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So the instructor is quite busy. Where do you find these thrust reduction altitudes when you're flying in IRL? So Alberto, yeah, in my airport information, you don't have that, unfortunately. So that's why I've done a website where you have over 230 airports now available with that in. Do you ever forget you're in a sim? When yeah, well, no, not really, Aaron. You do get immersed, of course. So there's a certain amount of immersion, but you always know that you're on a simulator. So it's not really as, you know, exciting as in real life. So Vienna 340 at 11. Well, actually, that's the wrong weather. So I'm going to read you the simulator weather now. So the weather in the simulator, in the Checkride, is going to be 270 at 15, 5 kilometers visibility, overcast 800, 25 degrees, QNH 1005, prop 30, tempo thunderstorms. Thank you much for the link. All right, yeah, Avenger. Good. So prop 30 thunderstorms. So there's a slight chance of having an issue with thunderstorms. We'll see. But there we go. For now, no thunderstorms reported, so we can continue. At the moment, well, actually, there is threats in Vienna. So prop 30. Oh, hold on. Hang on. Oh, that's unlucky. Yeah. Hang on. So wind 5 kilometers viz. Overcast 800 feet. QNH is 1. So that will be the. Brennelt, I'll get to that question in a minute. So now we've got the red warnings there. So the radar altimeters failed on both sides. Why wasn't there warning prior? Why wasn't there a radio altimeter failure indication when radio altimeter 1 failed? Good. So again, nav RA2 fault. I have control. Actually, let me put the autopilot 1 on. I have control. Right. So nav RA2 fault. There's no ECAM action, so clear nav, clear. Status, and again, stop ECAM, And let's have a look at possibility of a circuit breaker check, and let's have a look at a system reset check. But the circuit breakers are all in, and there is no reset available. Right, so guys, yeah, and that's the weird thing. That's one of the things, one of the failures, very rare failures in the Airbus, where you have to be careful, because right now we are normal law. Yeah, we are normal law, but when we go landing gear down, it goes into direct law. Yeah, that is nasty. So, continue ECAM read status. When landing gear down, direct law. Cat 2 only. Actually, that should be Cat 1 only, but that's, I guess, just a flight warning computer standard here in the FSLabs. In-up systems, radio altimeter 1 and 2, automatic call out. That's a good excuse for hard landing, but that's actually an issue. Cat 3 is up and GPWS is still up. Right. Remove status. Remove. Okay. So, what do we do now? Facts. Fact is, we don't know all the facts. Why? Because we have to go, actually we have to go into our FCOM. Why? Because there we actually have what we call a expanded procedure. Let me just, I need to just catch one file that I have in my Discord. There we go. So, in our Discord, we have approach so nav area 1 and 2 fault. Approach procedure for landing. Use flaps 3. Oh, hello. Did it say that here in the status? No. You see, very important. That's why we actually do this. We actually have a look into the FCOM. It says use flaps 3. Why? Because we're going to be in direct law. GPWS landing flap 3 on. So before we even forget, we could do this, and we should do this. So we're going to go into the approach page, go config 3. Let's do 5. Was it 1005? I think so, right? 1005. Then we're going to have temperature 25. The wind was 270 at 15. Minimals will enter in a minute. Config 3. So we go on the orbit panel as well. Use landing flap 3. Okay. What else do we have? Right, approach speed VREF plus 10. There we go. So VREF plus 10. 132. Well, actually, what we would do normally, we'd use the config full and add the 10 knots there. However, we have a calculator anyways, so I've actually calculated the performance prior to the stream. And I have calculated actually with runway wet. Why? Because there's a chance of some rain showers, meaning it's a good idea to actually do the calculation, not dry runway, but actually wet runway. So that's what I've done. So I've calculated with radial altimeter 1 and 2 fault, which also gives us a direct law landing, which is important for the calculations. So it's going to be a mandatory config 3 landing. And the required distance What's our landing weight? 59 tons. So the required landing distance in flight is 2,000. No, actually, that's really poor. Disregard. There we go. So wet runway is 1,500 meters, 1,550 meters in-flight landing distance. Max manual braking. Runway wet. And the approach speed, yeah, should be about 138. So 138, that's what I'm going to put in here. So VLS plus 10, config 3 landing. Exactly. So yeah, auto law, direct law is actually direct stick to service inputs. So that's one thing. We also check again for the rest. So landing distance procedure applied. We've done that now. So we calculated with that failure and direct law, and we found out we need about 1,500 meters. So the reason is it's not really that critical in the sense that we have, you know, full reverse, we have full braking, we have full spoilers. So there's no you know, huge increase because again all the braking means are still available. So the only thing we have is a config 3 landing and some addition because we're going to land in direct law. So Airbus says we're going to be, you know, giving some more additions, some more safety add-ons for direct law. Also, that's why we have the so I'm going to dry throat here. So also we have very important information. So at landing gear extension, flight controls revert to direct law in pitch as well as roll, and it says refer to flight control direct law. So another piece of information we need to get before landing. Another important thing is the following. ILS approach mode cannot be engaged. So it's a good thing to read up on this now, because if we hadn't, we would go into the ILS approach, we would press the approach button and suddenly wonder why is there no you know, approach mode available. So that would kind of put us off. But the localizer mode is available. Right? And that's it. That's the info as we have here. For the direct law approach, let me just read you that. Flight control direct law. Once that goes, so with the landing gear down, it will say on the primary flight display, use manual pitch trim. So you have to trim manually. Auto trim does not work anymore. Then we've got max speed 320 Mach 0.77. Well, that's not an issue. Speed is limited due to loss of high-speed protection. Well, we're doing that in approach, so that's not really required. So maneuver with care, since the inoperative automatic trim, and use speed brake with care. Again, because all the pitch changes, so all the momentum changes with flaps extension, slats extension, speed changes, that has an influence on the trim of the aircraft. So that's why you have to maneuver with care and use speed brake with care. But that's more for the high Mach numbers, really, high altitude. So it says at high Mach numbers, use speed brake with care to avoid too strong nose up changes. Hey, B! B, thank you so much for the $5 donation. That's really generous. B, thank you so much for that. Exactly, direct law, which is turning into a giant 172. I always have a kind of a little grin on my face when I fly direct law, because I mean I flew the 737 for a long time, and the 747 for that matter, and those were direct law aircraft, if you like. So you know, it direct law kind of puts Airbus pilots into an alert state. If you've flown Boeing, you will say, yeah, so, you know, what's the deal? Yeah, so direct law obviously means that you're going to be manual flight. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I would expect as well. Why? It's a very simple answer to that, Danny. Because auto trim isn't working anymore. So you can't use the autopilot when you don't have automatic trim. Yeah. No, that's fine, Danny. No, don't worry. I have these moments quite often as well, Danny, where I read something and I'm like, hey, hang on, why is that? You know, why is the autopilot dropping out? Why is this happening? And it'll come to me, oh yes, of course, because that system is related to it. Exactly. Okay, B, once again, thank you so much for your generosity. I hope you're doing well. And a big shout out to Agent B7 streaming on Twitch as well. Make sure to check out our channel. Well, Flying Wolf, in case of emergency, which, you know, an abnormal like this, I wouldn't care about idle reverse only. I would use reverse. And if I get into trouble, I would say, hey, we had an abnormal that required doing that. Good. So, what else do we need? For the approach procedure, for landing, use flaps 3. GPW landing flap 3 on, we have that. Manual pitch trim use. Approach speed VREF plus 10, we have that as well. You see, that's the thing. So, the VREF plus 10 here, that actually comes from the fact that we're going to be in direct law. So that's kind of, you know, double input now, but yeah, so that's why it says VREF plus 10. And because we're flying a little bit faster, we're flying a direct law approach, we had to do the landing distance procedure, which we did. And we require, for the wet runway, about 1,550 meters. Yeah, so this is one of the things where for the procedure itself, you may hear instructors, or in your documents you may find with this fault, you may find you go flap 1, flap 2, flap 3, autopilot off, auto thrust off, and then go with the gear down. Why? Because it's prudent to use the autopilot and the auto trim to get you down to approach speed, so the aircraft is actually trimmed for that speed. Take the autopilot off, the auto thrust off, and then go with the gear down, because if you do gear down first, so let's say you go flap 1, flap 2, then gear down, well, the autopilot will drop off, the auto trim will stop working, and you still have flap 3 to go with a speed reduction that requires you to do and use manual pitch trim. That's the idea behind it. Okay, good. So we covered RA1 and 2, the expanded procedure. We've done the direct law procedure now. Good. Let's ask you then, guys. What about cabin preparation? Do we need, or do we need to declare Mayday, or what about cabin preparation? Anything special there? Brendel, do you ask what's the worst in-flight failure I had? Technically, man, I've had a pressurization abnormal once in a 737, which was quite nasty, but we covered that because of system knowledge. So we managed to continue the flight by using the standby system. I've had split flaps for landing in Paris. I remember that was 737. So they were split between 30 and 40. That was quite nasty to fly with. Yes, so Brendel, the reason why Airbus is putting the aircraft into direct law only after landing gear extension is because the autopilot may behave strangely if the radial altimeter isn't working. Remember the Turkish airline 737 that crashed in Amsterdam? That had an issue with the radial altimeter So one was in up, I think. The other one then suddenly had a mishap, and the thrust levers were pulled to idle, and the aircraft stalled on the approach. Airbus says once the landing gear is down, we put the sole, responsibility to the pilots. Right, so it's going to be no protections regarding autoflight system, because the autoflight system may behave strangely once you get close to the ground. That's the reason behind that. So let's see, what do you guys think? Do we need cabin preparations? Exactly, so B, that's one of the very rare failures where you go straight from normal to direct law. I know it's a bit weird, but that's how this failure actually works. Yeah. Would you say flap 3 non-standard? No. I don't think it's any non-standard thing, because you do flap 3 landings anyways quite often. Good, fuel check. Let me just have a look at the fuel check, guys. 2.6 and Minder version is 1.7, so 1.7 tons. So we have 800 kilograms extra, 20 minutes. Yeah, so I concur with that. 20 minutes extra fuel. So in case of missed approach, we can do one more approach. What altitude HL would you no longer be comfortable lowering the nose during stall recovery? Let's put it this way, Mate, you don't have an option really. I mean, if you want to get out of a stall, if you like a real stall, then you have to lower the nose, otherwise you're going to die. So the only chance is lower the nose, increase thrust, and then pray that the height you have is enough to get you out of the stall. Yeah, so I would definitely call ATC and say, hey, we've got a technical issue, and I would tell them what we have. So I would say that, hey, we've got to do a flap 3 landing. We're going to configure early.
Autopilot.
Oh my god.
Autopilot.
Oh my god. Wow. Okay, so I don't know what to say. Wow. Ooh, fishy. That is $100 donation. I was just about to do the same. Applause. Wow, that is extremely generous. Ooh, fishy. I know you were on Twitch as well, so thank you so much for your support. And $100. My god. And that money will be invested in the PMG 737 and the Mad Dog. So Ufishy, thank you so much for the support, and you can say that you have had a huge part here in the financial backing of the PMG 737 and the Mad Dog. Thank you so much, and the same to everyone who has donated and supported here on the channel. Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, exactly. So B, the thing is, Tower normally will say, oh, what's going on here? Right, that's interesting, FSLabs. It says right turn. Let me see if I can change the speed here. Oh, there we go. That fixed it. Teardrop it is. So Ifishy, once again, thank you so much. The message with that was have fun in the sim. That's really kind. Yeah, I will do so. And actually, I also have a nice cold drink after the sim mission. Assuming that I pass, I will have a nice cold drink afterwards. And thank you. Oh my god, guys!
Autopilot.
Oh my god, guys, stop it!
Autopilot.
Oh my god, Brenold donating another €50. Big round of applause for that as well. Brennell, thank you. Huge support of the channel. Thank you so much for that. And he writes, into the BA146, yes, Brennell. So I have to do the, first of all, I have to go with the 414. I've not forgotten that. So the 414 first, and then the BA146. So I've got lots of things on my plate to go, but looking very much forward to it. Exactly. So Agent B, exactly that. You are correct. So no auto thrust and no autopilot. So it's manual flight, manual thrust for us, anyways, but also for other pilots or other airlines as well. Yeah, correct. Yeah. So we would tell ATC that we're unable to do the normal speed profile. Right. So we would do that. Is there anything else, guys, you would be skeptical about right now? You would say, hey, that could become an issue going forward. What happens in a missed approach, guys? And also a big thank you again to Brennell, to Fishy, to Agent B7, to Andrew for their support today. Thank you so much. Oh, here comes speed. Okay, have the speed brakes. Retracting the speed brakes here. Here comes flaps 1. Speed is checked. Flaps 1. Once we do flaps 1, the status comes back up. It reminds us, hey, remind you, landing gear, direct law, catch 2 only, in-up systems. No changes though. Remove. Hey, V55. Okay, so one of the big issues we're going to have is we're going to be pitching up like crazy. We don't have auto trim. So we have what we call thrust pitch coupling, which is unusual in the Airbus. We Airbus pilots are not used to that. So that will happen. Huge increase in thrust will mean pitch up. We have to be aware of that. We have to counter that immediately. So we're going to expect to use some stick inputs. Yeah, but until B, you're right. So once the landing gear comes up again, you will be back in normal law. But until that point, so the initial pitch up, that's when you're going to have the nose up moment. Right, minimums is Cat 1, 800 feet. Where's my, there we go. So, just need to change the weather here for the altimeter. Set QNH 1005. Good. $4,000 feet. We're good in the profile. Here comes flaps 2, speed check, flaps 2. And the approach will start at 3,000, 7.4, Oscar Echo X-ray, RLSDME. Actually, that's 2.9. Where's 3.4? Disregard. We are on 3.4. Minimum 3.4 is 800 feet as well, but 3,000 at 7.4, Oscar Echo November. Down we go with 3 degrees, with check glide slope at 1877 at 4 miles. Minimum Cat 1, 800. Missed approach. Yeah, we can do the normal missed approach initially at least. So 9.8 from Fisherman, right turn back to the VR, Fisherman, and we'll climb 5,000 feet. Start. Yeah, exactly. So the position of the aircraft, yeah. is right here. Yeah, you're right. That's the position of the aircraft. Yeah, correct. Yeah, thank you for the info, Mr. Andex. Always good to refresh that knowledge. Oh my god.
Autopilot.
Oh, Danny.
Autopilot.
Oh my god, Danny as well, coming in with 1071. Guys, that's really, really kind. Thank you so much for the amazing support. Big round of applause. Danny, donating 1071. I need to go down to 3,000 feet. I'm going to concentrate. So, bit less amount. Oh, that's really lovely though. $10.71. But I learned a lot from your streams. Literally every stream, I learned some new things. It's a continuous learning curve for me. You always ask your viewers what would happen if we have that failure, do this and that, relate to the real. That's good to hear, Danny. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And when the Phoenix comes out, we'll have even more stuff to go by. So I'm really looking forward to it. So, ILS keys are on. We've got Oscar Echo November. And again, guys, we can't use the approach button. I'm going to try something, though. Let me try something. Let me try the approach button. Oh, wow. It does actually arm the glide slope, which it shouldn't. So we're just going to arm the localizer lock star. I'm going to fly this flight path angle. Actually, no, manual flight. Disregard. I'm going to fly this manual anyways. Raw data out star. Here comes flaps 3. Speed is check. Flaps 3. Yeah. And that's normal. It tells us the landing gear isn't down. Emergency cancel. So I'm going to select auto brake medium initially so that the brakes start working. And here comes gear down. Actually, autopilot off, first of all. Auto thrust off. And then we go gear down. So now the aircraft is nicely trimmed on the speed. So we shouldn't have much trim requirement, although maybe with the speed later on. Right, flight director's off, bird on. Now, of course, we have a lot more drag, so we need to increase thrust here a bit. Careful with that. And again, I can feel the pitch up moment. So once I increase the thrust, careful the speed again. We're a bit below the speed here. Careful. Right. So again, it's unusual, and I like the fact that the FSLabs actually does simulate that.
Autopilot. Autopilot.
Right, let's try and get a 3-degree pitch down here. Power should be around 53% in that region. A bit more trim down. So let's see if we can fly this manually. So, flight control. Direct law, as expected. Protection lost. Use manual pitch trim, we'll do that. A bit fast here. And maneuver with care. I'll get to the donation. I'm sorry, I need to concentrate. Frederick, that's really kind. 10 euros. Status. Guns through the checklist. So that's the thing, guys. The thing is this. We already had a good look at the status page as well regarding the direct law. So there's nothing new, nothing out of the ordinary. So if you're wondering how do I know where the glide slope is and the localizers, there we are. So I can fly this raw data. And one last thing to do is arm the spoilers. We'll read the checklist. ECAB landing no blue. So clear to land. The wind is 350 at 10. And be aware, heavy rain shower currently over the field. So unfortunately it doesn't show up on the radar here, but the tower says heavy rain showers. Standing water 4 millimeters right now. So it's actually quite nice, to be honest. I've actually got the aircraft trimmed, so I don't need to do huge inputs. And once you, that's the thing, that's why I, in real life, I often fly without flight directors. Why? Because if you have a failure like this, and you're suddenly forced, in marginal weather, to fly a raw data approach, if you are, you know, doing that regularly, you won't feel so uncomfortable doing it. So we're just getting ground contact here. Got the PAR P1 red 3 white. Right, so at the moment we've got 10 millimeters standing water. Guys, what do we do? 10 millimeters. Right, go around.
100 above.
Flaps. Let's check flaps 2. No. I'll explain in a second. Positive rate of climb. So we're going to go gear up first of all. We've got Manitoga. Should have put that to 5,000. So climb out blue 5,000. And we've got normal law again. We'll call that out. We've got flight directors. So thrust climb, open climb, out blue, normal law, autopilot on. Increasing speed, flaps 1, speed check, flaps 1. Exactly, Max, good answer. So anything more than 3 millimeters of standing water is not wet anymore. That's actually contaminated. Ignace, oh, it's made. But I need to find out the developer of the producer again. Flap 0, speed check, flap 0. Quick check on the fuel, 2.2, 1.7 is min diversion. Thank you much, Yoda. There we go. Here it is. So Ignace, that's the FS projects. Thank you much, Yoda. That's really a big help. Thank you so much. Outstar, 5,000 feet. Right, for quick approach, we'll do a right turn right now for quicker radar vectors, and I'm going to increase speed to 20 knots. So exactly that. We didn't calculate for the 10 millimeters of standing water. That is actually in the range of medium to poor braking action. We did not calculate that. So I did the calculations prior. Let's go heading. I did the calculations prior, so heading to the stream, and config 3, braking action medium to poor, will give us a landing distance required, in-flight landing distance, of 2,600 meters.
Welcome aboard the Captain Black Box Twitch channel subscriber experience.
Big thank you, first of all, to Frederic. Frederic Olivier, thank you so much. Merci beaucoup, monsieur. I assume French, so merci beaucoup. For, first of all, the 10 euros. Man, that's so generous. And he writes, I can't make more. Do not worry, that shows to me an amazing amount of support. 10 euros. Thank you so much for that. And again, it'll go into new add-ons, and it'll help develop the streams, make them interesting. The runway has 3,500 meters. Let me just check that here. So airport infos. I need to get a drink. So Vienna runway 29 has 3,500 meters. And Frederic also becoming a member of the channel. That's also very kind of you. Thank you again for your support. Oh, sorry, 3-4. Yeah, disregard. No, I was on 2-9. No, 2-9 is going to be for takeoff later on. No, 3,600 meters. Yeah, you're right. There's 3,600, runway 3-4. And the definitions, so you know the global reporting format, that new format that came out. You have certain equivalent runway states. So either you have a friction coefficient that's or measurement done by the airport that then gives out a report like wet, 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 or contaminated standing water 4 millimeters. So as long as the so as long as the runway is only wet up to 3 millimeters, the braking action is considered to be good. Right. So compacted snow, for example, would already go good to medium. Dry snow, wet snow, compacted snow is actually medium if it's more than 3 millimeters. So if for a pilot, a good thing is to remember the following. 3 millimeters, that's your limit for wet runway, or wet snow, or dry snow. So anything that goes above that, you're already below braking action good. So one of the really annoying things in this table is the following. If you just have rain, there is no wet runway definition like 5 millimeters, or like that will be braking action medium good or something. No. The minute you have more than 3 millimeters, you get into the range of medium to poor. Because definition, medium poor, standing water, more than 3 millimeters, up to 13 millimeters. And that's the problem. And that's quite annoying. Because if you have heavy rain, so if I see heavy rain on an airport, we do two things. One, we calculate the landing with medium to poor braking action, and also take into account the reverses. Right, so yeah, so you would calculate that ahead of time. So even if you only have, let's say 2 millimeters at the time, you already calculate for the worst case. Yeah, transition, I don't know, what's the transition altitude here? Let's have a look. 10,000. Yeah, so it should, yeah, that's true. That's weird. Right, let's activate the approach phase. That way it stopped blinking. There we go. So let's go 3,000. Good. But since at the moment that we had the approach, the weather didn't change and we had more than 3 millimeters of standing water. Yeah, we only calculated with wet runway, so up to 3 millimeters. And you cannot do a landing. You can't say, oh, my experience tells me, I need less than 3,000 meters with, braking action medium poor. That's guessing. You can't do that. If the aircraft is on fire, well, I would then take my commander and emergency authority and probably do the landing, right? Even if I only calculate with braking action good, because a burning plane just has to get down on the ground, right? And for that, I would take into account not having calculated with the right runway coefficients. But only in very rare cases. Any other cases that are not so time critical, you would do the go around. That's how we operate aircraft. That's how we, take these things into account. So speed managed, flaps 1. So Danny, on the ATIS, we will get normally a runway report already. So runway coefficient report, vertical speed. Why is there no out blue? There we go. So out blue 3,000. So that's how we know regarding contamination and the braking coefficient with that. And not long ago, last year, they changed that to the global reporting format standard. So all the airports around the world now are supposed to use the same methodology regarding contamination check on the runway, regarding reporting. so that pilots have it easier. So they always have the same kind of reports worldwide. That's the idea behind it. Good, let's recap. We're still on RA1 and 2 fold. We still have the same issue that once the landing gear goes down, we're going to have direct law. We're still going to have the same issue where we need to fly this raw data. And so on. Yeah, Danny, if I find a ATIS that has a contamination report on it, I will let you know. Like Rockstar. Here comes flaps 2. Speed is checked with 3,000 feet, and again at 7.4 miles, we'll do the.
Could new subscribers please make your way to the first class cabin, where complimentary drinks, snacks, and premium flight entertainment will be served. Thank you.
Radar, so you asked why I moved from Twitch to YouTube, because I have some issues with Twitch. Personal issues. Right, again, we have landing gear not down, but that's due to the fact that we're out of sequence. And the radio altimeter isn't there, so the aircraft, the flight warning computer, doesn't know that we're not, you know, high above the ground. It actually must assume that we're low, below the alerting altitude, and we've gone config 3 and the gear's not down. So, manual thrust. Hey, Krypton, thank you for the 4 months. Wie geht's dir? Manual flight. Gear down. Flight directors off. Bird on. Right, direct law, same procedure. Clear flight controls. Status is reviewed, nothing new. Remove status. Again, we're going to start ascend here. 7.4, that's the right glide slope. So we're trying nice and stable, trying to get aircraft into good power setting, good pitch, power. And if we then need to trim the aircraft, we'll do so, maybe just a tad nose down. Just thrust a bit. Cool. So yeah, use manual pitch trim, direct law, landing checklist, eco minimum landing no blue. Fuel check 1.9 tons, still comfortably above the min diversion. However, once we divert, so if we have to go around again, we're going to have to consider diverting to Bratislava. But I think the weather here is stable enough. So right now the thunderstorms have cleared. We have a wet runway 6 millimeters, so it's raining off a bit. Careful with the pitch here, speed is a bit high. Krypton, thank you so much for the 4 months. Andrew writes, learning so much again. I wish I could be here more often. Debrief at ELA this year. Oh, is it ELA? When is that? July? Is that still taking part? I thought they scrapped that. Who knows? Yeah, I try to get off then. Right, careful with the localizer here. Just drifting a bit. So I can feel the roll is a lot more sensitive. So when you go and do this, you just have to realize that the aircraft will feel different. Just be aware of that. And again, as you get closer to the runway, the localizer and glide slope deviations will become more sensitive. So go easy with the flight controls. Do a good scan, regularly look at pitch, power, speed. Just trying to keep that in there. A little bit ground reference. Come a bit left again. And also be careful when you transition from outside to inside. So normally my first officer would then call out the wind situation, which would help. There we go, got the PARPI lights in sight. Careful again, don't look too long outside. Slow transition, inside, outside. It's a bit low, there comes the runway. Runway's inside.
Minimum.
Continue. Just get a tad high, correct that. No call outs on the rate altimeter, right? Just by feel. Oh, there we go, actually good landing. We got spoilers, we got a reverse. That was actually a really good landing. I should do that more often. Yeah, good braking action on manual brakes. Reverse. And welcome to Vienna. It's from the 22nd of 26th June. Krypton, thank you. I will try. I will have a look if I can get the weekend off then. Let me just make a picture of that, or a screenshot of that, and then. Thank you much, Krypton, for that. Good. But I tell you that if you suddenly don't have the call-outs, it is really weird. You just think that something's really wrong, because you always expect that, like, you know,
Good night.
whatever that starts with
Black
call-outs,
box.
400 feet, 500 feet. Yeah, you just miss those, especially 50 countdown to the runway. You really miss that. Lilo Pilot, thank you much for watching. Take care. See you soon. Yeah, I know, Max. So normally it would be really cool if one of the pilots remembers and says, hey, remember, no automatic call-out. So actually, it would be a good idea to take a piece of paper and note down all of the specialities. And one of them would have been no automatic call-outs. Good. I'm going to line up, or just hold short of 2.9. So this would be like the first part of the sort of first 2 hours. How long has it been now for us? Yeah, it's been about 2 hours, right? So that's how long the first section would be, the first 2 hours. And then we would have a little break, a little coffee break, which I'm going to use to just get my my water and maybe coffee. Right, I'm going to clear all my functions here. The instructor at this point would probably give us a little debrief. So he would probably say, you know, not a full debrief, it's just the things he would notice and say, hey, you know, I've noticed this and that, just minor things, maybe, you know, this is a call out you did wrong, or, you know, maybe you should have thought of this kind of thing. So, little feedback, and then, hey, Henrik, and then you would go into the second part, which then is the maneuvering part. And this is like where the standard abnormals happen. Good. Okay, are there any more questions? Oh yeah, lots of questions. Hang on. So we've got Mete. So when flying raw data, do you turn off both flight directors or just the pilot flying? No, both. Yeah, you don't want to have any distracting indications on the primary flight display. You could strictly say, hey, why don't you use localizer and flight path angle? Unless the procedure would tell you you have to fly raw data. I mean, you have to fly it manually. That's a given, right? Because with the gear down, the autopilot would drop out. So manual thrust, manual flight. That is a given. However, I'm pretty sure that, you know, nobody would criticize you for actually using a flight director, localizer, and then a flight path angle mode, for example. So you would have to tell the pilot monitoring then, adjust flight path angle or set flight path angle minus 2.7 degrees or minus 3.3 degrees whenever you need to correct something. You know, if you think that really helps you, hey Christian, good evening, how you doing? Then by all means, yeah, do so. Unless, of course, the procedure says you're not allowed to use flight directors in this case. Taco, hey, with a plane in this status, you will not leave from this airport, I guess. No. That's something you would have to get repaired. I mean, for that, we have your minimum equipment list, obviously. So you would need to look into that, and then you need to make a mechanic as well that will give you a write-off. Right? You have a problem, a technical problem that you can't fix yourself. And normally, I think Yoda will agree, normally this kind of problem would have maintenance actions required. Be it pulling a circuit breaker, securing them, or whatever the procedure may be with maintenance. And then whenever maintenance does something on the aircraft, or when you as a pilot, with coordination with maintenance, you actually do something, you will need to have a report from maintenance. So they will put something into the technical logbook, and it'll say released for service. All right, so they need to officially release it to service, and then you as a pilot, you can take over the aircraft and take over responsibility again. But that's a really clear kind of structure, and that is always followed. If you're not following that, you're in big trouble. Good. So maneuvering phase won't take that long now. No, normally it takes about 2 hours, but that's because both pilots have to do the engine failure. They have to do certain things like TCAS maneuver avoidance, ground proximity warning, or ground proximity recovery. That sort of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff to do with both pilots. That's why it takes 2 hours. For me now, we're going to do 3 parts at least. And the first part, I think, is going to be... Oh yeah, so normally what we would do as well in the maneuvering part, we would do a low-vis takeoff, because that's required. So let me do that. And then that will be followed by a... actually, no, let's not do that, because that would be followed by a visual approach, just so that you get a feel for the aircraft. And then once that's done, both pilots have done the visuals approach. They have a good feeling of the aircraft. Then you go into the engine failure recover section. So that's what we're going to do now, actually. So we're going to do engine failure. And again, that's given to you by law, so by the state regarding the certification and requalification. There we go. So let's do weather is as follows. So also the weather conditions are definitely given to you as well. So let me just check my documents. The weather for the engine out case is going to be as follows. So it's going to be runway 29. We've got 270 at 15 knots. So a bit of crosswind from the left. Visibility is 5 kilometers. Temperature 23 is fine, and 1005. Right, send the weather. Actually, no, one more thing to do. Hold on. Right, no precipitation. Good. And sim brief, we'll do another one here, so we have a good overlay. So I know the overlay will say that we're going to fly from here to Linz, but obviously we're going to stay in the pattern for the engine out case. But that way, by doing a sim brief profile, it's easier to get everything into the box again, because you can see that now after landing it's completely cleared everything. Right, there was another question. Let's have a look. Question was, what you happen to know how long flap path angle heading speed stays on the MCP if you only select but not activated. Okay, so the only thing that's really important if you're flying raw data without any flight director guidance, obviously you don't have any guidance modes annotated either, you would have the the heading buck, so the track on the runway track. That's the only thing you would set, and the missed approach altitude, obviously. Those two are things you would need to set. Hey Emre, how you doing? Emery, you ask a question if you have to, for a reason, depart without with a double I. I don't know if it's possible. The problem is that, you know what, the thing is this, Emre, I don't think it would be allowed because, again, you are in direct law. There we go. Actually, I put Innsbruck as... Is it? No, Linz. Right. Linz is the alternate airport, or the destination right now. But we're not going to reach that, that's for sure. Why the bot hit me? No, so the problem is, Frederick, let's have a look. Yeah, the thing is, so sorry for the bot thing. The problem is that you have apostrophe in your name, so over the E. And for some reason, the bot doesn't work with that. I don't know why. We need to check. We have not got a solution for that yet. So sorry, Mete. No, so sorry, Frederick. Where was your question? So sorry, you asked in this situation and due to poor weather, why don't you take auto airport with better weather? Okay, so Frederick, that's something you would need to do in your assessment. So we need to do your fact finding, your options, and so on, risk benefit evaluation. You would take that into account, and then you would search for an airport that's suitable. Now, the airport of Vienna has weather that's perfectly good to do a Cat 1 approach, and it has 2 runways, long runways. So that's why very likely you would actually do that. Right. But yes, that's a good question, Frederick. And that's something, you know, Frederick, that's something that maybe the 2 pilots will disagree on. So maybe the captain will say, hey, I think we can continue our flight to Vienna. And then maybe the co-pilot says, hey, I disagree. I think, you know, Bratislava is the better airport. So, you know, CRM has to come to play here. And you need to find a solution. So you need to find... So for me as a captain, I would need then to kind of, you know, bring in my arguments why I personally see Vienna as the better alternate. And the first officer would then, you know, make sure that his view is acknowledged at least by the captain. But the captain, in the end, he'll be the one to decide which airport to fly to. And again, you don't normally look for the absolute best airport that's maybe further away and requires more fuel to fly there. You would look for an airport that meets the requirements. If you have 2 airports close by, and one of those 2 has a much better weather than the other one, well, then you may consider flying, you know, to the one that has a better weather. But again, that's in the process of this fact-finding, options, you know, evaluation, and so on. Just need to go and get myself some more fuel. Let's do again 5,000 kilograms. Right, I need definitely to drink here because my throat is so dry from talking so much. I've just been cycling as well. The speeds are given. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put... well, actually, let me just calculate that here. So we go takeoff. Frederick, has your question been answered? Or is there still something unclear? Okay, it's good. All right. Yeah, sorry that my bot... can you do me a follow? So, Frederick, if you want to post a question to me, so if you just put at blackbox711 and then the question, and it'll highlight for me so I can see that. Hang on, B. So, only replace, fix at least one, and only then reproduce for the full MX. Sorry, what's the MX? Anti-ice off. Off. Air conditioning on. Again, we're going to do the weather. I'm just put calm here. Got a bit of headwind, but that's not fine. So the weather was 23 degrees, and QH is 1005. Runway's dry now. That's good. Maintenance. Oh, sorry. Also, place fix at least one and only repair. Well, the thing is, B. Yeah, sorry for the maintenance. Okay, so B. The thing is this. I will need to get out my MEL so that I can answer you which radio altimeter would be allowed to be failed. Now, number one, I'm 100% sure number one must be working. I don't think you can get a release with RA1 INOP. That much I'm confident of saying. So flaps 1 down 0.4. No, I'm typing that. Just go double click. 67, 43. Transition 10,000. NADP 2, 1600. Engine out acceleration is 2.1. So this is actually going to be important because we are going to expect an engine failure. So this is no surprise, right? So we will do our check ride. Oh, sorry, I should put that in first. 2.9. We'll have, I don't know, some departure route here. Doesn't really matter. Again, we'll take that data, and the engine out procedure runway 29 is 7.4. So that's actually tricky. You see, that's another thing why practicing this here in the flight sim is actually pretty good, because now I know for runway 29 there's a special engine out procedure. So now I'm already programming that into the FMS, and mentally I've already got that now stored, and once I'm in the sim and do my check ride, I won't fall into any traps with this regard. So Brunkendorf. Good. So previous, and the radial is so straight out, and that's going to be 292. For bot in my name, I can take a. Yeah. So Frederick, thanks for that. I will have a chat with my good friend Boodle, who's programming that bot. Bruno, you can dispatch with... Okay, I need to check. Right. Are you guys really interested in seeing... Okay, guys, if you are interested in regard to dispatch with RA1 INOP, let me just check. Just quickly. So I'm going to go and find my... MEL. So MEL navigation. Sensors, probably no. That's not it. There we go. Radio altimeter. Hang on. Radio altimeter system. That's the thing. Right. So. Okay. Right. So the MEL says the following: 2 are installed, 1 required. It's a handicap and ops affected LVO, obviously. So it says one may be inoperative provided that both FCU channels, all ILACs, SECs, ADIRUs, SFCCs, LGCIUs, and FACs are operative. So pretty much everything else regarding flight computers, IR units, ADR units, they have to work. And it says, note, when the radio altimeter 1 is inoperative, the GPWS basic modes are considered inoperative. So we need to check for operating procedures if that is required. And there's a operating procedure for the maintenance and also for the pilots. So theoretically, Bruno is correct, theoretically, you could fly with RA1 inop. No, it's just for our company, Bruno. So all aircraft in our company, I have those there, but not for all the MSNs, no. Good, so init A page filled out, init B page filled out as much as necessary. Got the flight plan in. Actually, we're going to do a landing 29. No start, no via. Oh, actually, let me do that. Hang on, disregard. Disregard. Undo. Let me show you that why or how we do this, or why we actually put in a secondary flight plan all the time. So this is a good demonstration, actually. So normally, you know, we fly from A to B, and I always show you. Did I put that in secondary? Secondary copy active. There we go. So then we go in the secondary flight plan. We go and do a return plan in the secondary. So we go arrival, ILS-29, no star, and no via. So now we can see the white line here. That's a secondary flight plan. Ready to be activated. No, Frederick, no, that was the question was for me with regard to the MEL, so the minimum equipment list for the radio altimeter 1 failure. So you could theoretically depart with that. Now, again, it says 1 is required. So with both inop, we can't depart. That is also a fact. So what's missing? Spoilers are going up 5,000 feet. Speed is managed. Got everything set up. 600 feet. Good. So, Boo Airbus. Quick briefing for the engine out case now. Hey, hello. Oh, hang on. Failures? No, I cleared all the failures. Lol. We broke the... Let me just go flaps 0 and then go back flaps 1 again. Let's see if that fixes it. The E-Jet can dish back both in up. Okay, well, I guess it has to do with the fact that Airbus is just a little bit more automated, especially when it comes to all these flight protections. Right. Okay, so that's broken now, but we've done everything. Side spoilers armed. Everything else is green. Good. Good. Give me a second, guys. I'm just going to fetch my my drink, get some water, and actually let me get an engine failure. Let me make this nice spicy. So let's have a look. That was 143. Trigger, let me calm down. Oh, it does. Ah, okay, disregard. Okay, so maybe that's why. I hope that's going to work. Okay, so that's done. Okay, that is working. Okay, good. So that's armed. That should be good to go then. All right. Back in a few seconds, guys. So I'm back. One more thing though. Normally I have my rudder trim actually on my joystick, or one of the axes here. But the thing is, I made that to the nose gear steering. So is there any way that I can map the trim? Reverse. That's not going to work. Ignace, you got in trouble last Thursday. The Foreign Affairs Minister of Germany arrived at Vilnius, and she was on board a member of. So I went out plane spotting, and you made a picture, and the police demanded. Really? Oh, that's a bit strict, isn't it? I mean, that's a bit overdone. Right, so FSUI PC. Now, the thing is this. So I've made this buttons. So, yeah, so that's the thing. I made this into the nose wheel steering. All right, well, I guess. Oops. Lawyer. Oi! What now? What did I do now? That's all good. Access assignment. Throttle 2. What? Hang on. What's the matter now? Lord. I have a feeling FSLabs is messed up somehow. Let's reload them again. Rescan. Throttle 2. Okay. There we go. All right. Cool. So I'm going to have to trim. The thing is this. So the procedure is as follows with an engine failure. Oh, the trim wasn't set. That's maybe why we had the takeoff config not right. There we go. There we go. Now we've got all normal because the trim wasn't set right. Okay, cool. So the procedure is as follows. So when you have an engine failure, after V1, obviously, because if it's before V1, you would have to do an RTO. If you're still not airborne, one of the big issues is obviously trying to keep the nose pointing in the right direction. So you have to use the rudder to keep the aircraft, you know, going straight. Then you need to be careful with the rotation, because obviously when you lose thrust on one engine, you're not going to be able to pitch up 15 degrees. Right, it's not going to fly for very long if you go 15 degrees. So it's more in the range of, let's say, 12 to 13 degrees initially. Then you would have gear up, obviously, after liftoff. That's something when I'm flying on my own here and I have the failure. I don't know what it is, because I guess it's because I don't have anybody saying positive climb. So I don't have that trigger to go gear up. So I'm concentrating on flying. I'm a bit, you know, in a zone. I'm kind of tunnel visioned, trying to keep the aircraft straight. And I lift off, and there's no call positive climb. So I tend to forget the landing gear here in the sim. So that's something I need to remember. And you guys need to write that in text then if I forget the landing gear. All right. So lift off, positive climb, gear up. Then we need to trim the aircraft, but you need to be careful. Don't do it, you know, straight after liftoff. You know, make sure you have a nice climb. You check the pitch that is correct. And make sure that, you know, everything's stable, gear is going up, and then once, like, you know, 200, 300 feet off the ground, everything's stable, then start trimming. The problem is that you have to look down and look for that rotary switch here to do the rudder trim. Hey, John. So before activating the autopilot, and the autopilot is preferential because it has the long-term and short-term yaw compensation, meaning that the moment you turn it on, it will do the yaw trimming for you, so the rudder trim for you, which is very nice. Bruno, okay, you're already waiting. Oh, God. Yeah, I'll try to hurry up. Yeah, so then stable, we trim the aircraft so that we have the blue yaw indication, so the slip indicator aligned with that little triangle, and that way then we know that we've trimmed enough, and we can activate the autopilot, and then there will be no hard over, and the autopilot is not fighting with the sudden rudder trim changes. Right, and then what we do is at 400 feet above the ground, that's the earliest we should start ECAM actions or QRH actions, whatever needs to be done. Normally it's the QRH, the ECAM actions. Then we secure the engine. Securing means that there's no more fuel, hydraulic, etc. going in and out of that engine. If it's on fire, we would make sure we try to extinguish the fire first of all. And then once that's taken care of, once the engine is secured, it will go level off. Lowest will be the engine out acceleration, so that will be the lowest level of altitude. If we're higher, because we had to do the procedures, because firefighting, for example, is a lot more important than leveling off at exactly that point there. You have a time limit of 10 minutes regarding engine out before you have to get the other engine into the normal max continuous thrust range. Yeah, then we level off, we accelerate, get the flaps up, then we're at green dot, we continue climb to our altitude that we want to climb to, and then return. Good, that's in theory. Let's see how we do in practice. So we've done everything. Let's go. And I can, you know, say that on the 737, the engine failure was more demanding than here in the A320. The A320 has some really good systems that really help you with dealing with engine failures. Right, so let's get lined up. So this will be the weather, 5 kilometers, and what was the cloud cover? Overcast 1,000, is that correct? Hang on, overcast at 800 actually. Yeah, that's fine then. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, good. So, are we ready? Here we go. So, takeoff. Start the chrono. Oh, again, what's happening today? Oh, because of the yeah, this on my right. Let's just say Manflex 67. Imagine that SRS runway auto thrust would be blue. It's one of those FSLabs things. Have you not checked? V1, rotate. Oh, what's happening to the engine failure? Oh, there we go. Let's rate gear up. It was just a bit delayed. Alright, so. Good, so we've got engine 1 fail. Let me go ahead and trim the aircraft while I fly it this way. So number 2 is still running. I need to turn in and trim into the right engine. So pull heading, maintain runway track. See, I'm already drifting off there. Normally my first officers will go, Captain! Look at your heading. Right. There we go. Now we've got Manflex. Right, so obviously we want to make sure that we want to keep the right track here. So that's where the blue line comes in really handy. You see, that's why we actually draw that in. Good. Gear us up. Toga consider. Climb rate. Yeah, let's do this. All right, so let's go other engine Toga mode. Man Toga. Good. Above 400 feet, flying the aircraft. Aircraft is nice and stable in the climb. Autopilot 1 is on. So ECAM actions. Engine 1 fail. Engine mode selector ignition. Ignition. Thrust lever number 1 idle. Now this is important with regarding the wording. So I, as a pilot flying, I put my finger on the thrust lever number 1 and I would say to the pilot monitoring, confirm. And he would say, number 1 confirmed. And then I, as a pilot flying, I would put the thrust lever to idle. So, if no relight after 30 seconds, well, let's have a look. N1 is dead, then 2 is dead, the engine is dead, it's frozen, so there will be no relight. Engine master 1 off. This is actually done by the pilot monitoring. So now he puts his finger on the number 1 master switch, and he will say, or she will say, confirm. I will check that he's got the finger on the right switch. Right, this is absolutely crucial. And I'll make sure it's number 1. I'll say confirm. Number 1 confirmed. I'll actually call out number 1 confirmed. Then we put this to cut off. Next in line. So we're not on fire, but the engine is damaged. So if damaged, well, it is definitely damaged. Look, it's completely still. So engine fire, 1 push button push. Same thing. Pilot monitoring puts the finger, doesn't open the flap, just puts the finger on that switch, says confirm. And I would look at his finger pointing at engine 1 and I will say number 1 confirmed. Then he opens the flap, or she opens the flap and presses that. Agent 1 after 7 seconds, 6 seconds discharge. Now this is not confirmed actually, because you can only discharge a squib that is armed by the switch here. So that is not confirmed. That's just been done. Good. Engine 1 relight consider shutdown. Stop ECAM. Level off. Vertical speed. So now we go into the acceleration phase. Remember what we said? 10-minute time limit for the engine in Toga mode. and also 25 miles out. So if I put the Lima Oscar Whiskey 29 in here, 10 miles out at the moment. Right, we're reaching S speed, flap 0, speed is checked, flap 0. So still accelerating. The aircraft again is automatic trimming as we increase the speed. You see the auto trim is actually doing the correct yaw input. Here we go. So we've got green dot, open climb, out blue 5000, and the other engine into max continuous thrust. So thrust MCT, open climb, out blue 5000. Right, it should not go into 60-70%. It should keep max continuous thrust. That's an FSLabs thing as well. Good. So 5 minutes after takeoff, we've done the procedure. Normally in the simulator, if I do that in real life or in the sim, it's a lot quicker. So with 3 minutes, this thing is already taken care of. Good. So we decided to do engine failure. Now, normally, of course, we did brief it's a special procedure, but since I want to explain some stuff, normally what we would have to take care of is make sure that we actually turn exactly as the text says. So we would actually then really need to make sure that we turn at the 7.4 from fisherman. That's essential. That's really important. So in the check flight, that's actually being graded. So if you miss that, if you actually go and fly like we did here, that would definitely be a negative. Good. Now that we've done all that, we're doing the navigation part. We've declared emergency already with ATC. Mayday, mayday, mayday. So request radar vectors for the ILS-29. And so we'll get the radar vectors. Now we have some stuff to continue on the ECAM. So then we say continue ECAM, and we go shutdown, disregard. So if no fuel leak. All right. So let's have a look at the fuel situation. So since the engine 2 is running, the engine 1 is dead. We have more fuel being taken out from the main tank 2. Main tank 1 has got more fuel because the engine is dead, normal. Right, there's no crossfeed open, so that's why this one will decrease. At the moment, in balance, well, it's still in limits. I'm going to leave the crossfeed closed, and it says imbalance monitor. Roger. TCAS mode selector TA, because we only have one engine, we're not supposed to do any TCAS avoidance maneuvers. Let the aircraft do the flying, and the maneuvering will do that on TA. Then it says I avoid icing conditions. Well, it's warm enough, 20 degrees today, so no issue with icing. And that's it. That's the end of the checklist here. So clear engine 1, clear. And now we have all the system pages come up. So it says, first of all, land as of an amber. All right, so we should land at the nearest suitable airport, which is Vienna. We already briefed that, kind of did a canned decision. So we're going to return to Vienna, weather is good enough. Air bleed, right, bleed system 1 is off, right, because of that master switch and engine fire push button switch that closed the valve. And number 2 is supplying pack number 2, and that is supplying the cabin and everything else, cockpit and the air conditioning system with air conditioned air. Clear bleed, press once, then we have next page pop up, that's the electric page. Well, yeah, generator 1 is dead, engine generator 2 is supplying all of the buses. This is also a good point to say, you know what, let's start the APU. Yeah, normally, Fred, you would consider squawking 7700, but ATC may actually tell you not to, because you're in range with the airport. There's no traffic that you're conflicting with. ATC knows you're under radar vectors, so you're not doing an emergency descent or anything like that. So there we go. Right, clear ILEC, clear, and then we've got hydraulic. We've got the number 1, so the yellow system, the green system, engine-driven pump is off. And the green system is pressurized by the yellow system. So we have all 3 systems still available. Clear hydraulic. Status. Right, stop ECAM. Again, we would think about quick, is there anything we can do to improve the situation? Any resets? This will be the case for an engine restart. So if we had said, well, it looks like just a flame out, not a real damage, and we need to, you know, maybe fly to a alternate airport because here Vienna would have fog, so we needed a takeoff alternate airport that we need to fly to. Then, well, yeah, then you might, you know, consider restart. Otherwise, you don't. Right, so then continue ECAM read status, avoid icing conditions. If no engine 1 damaged, well, we said it's damaged. Right, so we can disregard this, and it's Cat 3 single only because we only have one engine-driven electric generator. In-up systems, wing anti-ice, Cat 3 dual is in-up, engine 1 bleed is in-up, pack 1 is in-up, generator 1 is in-up, and a green engine 1 pump is also in-up. Just what we saw through the system display pages. Nothing new, really. Then remove status, removed, ECAM actions completed. Good. Normally now we go into facts, options, risk, benefit, decision, execution, check. Well, we did a can decision. We said we're going to return to Vienna, so there's no more blah, blah, blah. Right, we know 29 runway is good enough, long enough. We checked the landing distance, and so on. So that's already taken care of, right? So all we do now is go and activate the secondary flight plan. So that's why it's a good thing to actually have it already pre-programmed, because otherwise we'd have to do it now. That's time consuming. So we just say activate secondary. Then we go direct to Fox India 29, radial in. And if I pull up the chart for the ILS, we can say that the opposite course is 111 actually. So 111 it is. Put that in there. Extend the center line. Insert. Pull on the heading knob again. Perfect. Right. So performance, activate approach phase. KH1005. We already know the weather. 23 degrees. The wind is 270 at 15. 15. There we go. And the minimum for Cat 1. I mean, we could do a Cat 3 single, but the weather is good enough for normal Cat 1, so that's what we're going to do. Low vis ops is not in use right now, so 800 feet is our Cat 1 minimum. That goes in there. And now the question is, config 3, config 4, since we're not doing an LVO, there is no restriction on the A320. Now, if you do an LVO, you need to do flaps full landing. Colon flight, no, that's a definition. Even though we don't have a fire, you secure the engine. That's how you do it. So if it's just a flame out, you don't discharge anything to secure the engine. But if it's damaged, it's just a procedure where you just make sure that maybe something's smoldering inside. You just make sure that there's absolutely no fire, and that's why you actually use. In this case, if the engine is damaged, you would actually go ahead and discharge one. It says in the checklist anyways. It says in ECAM, so you do the procedure. Right, and if it's no damage, and you want to restart the engine, then of course you wouldn't do that. Then you would not discharge any fire extinguisher into that. Cool. So in this case, when doing normal Cat 1, we're actually going to do a config 3 landing. That helps with the misapproach procedure. And down we go to, well, normally we do the briefing, obviously. So 3000 at 7.4 from Oscar Echo X-ray. ILS DME, 3 degree down, 291 inbound. Cross check, so we check that as well with the flight plan, obviously. Make sure everything's correctly programmed. Minimum 800 feet. Missed approach goes straight out. Now, you can do the standard if you think that you could fly this with the engine being out. I would just simply say, you know what, we're going to do exactly the same as the normal engine out procedure for takeoff. So 7.4 from Fisherman, left turn to Bravo Romeo Kilo. That's what I would do in this case. And normally we would obviously have that set here in the setup here. So there we go. Good. No, we don't need to. You can. I mean, it doesn't say in the procedure. So you can switch it off. Yeah, but you don't have to. It's switched off automatically anyways. It was off because the valves were closed. Good. Yeah, it's not a 737, right? So Airbus is quite clever in some regards in that, you know. Good, so we're going to go down 4,000 initially. Yeah, about 4,000 vertical speed, out blue. So in principle, you do a normal briefing and you do a non-normal briefing. So for landing landing distance, we check with autobrake low. That's suitable. Runway is dry. Wind a little bit from the left, 270 at 15. We may do just idle reverse to prevent a yaw moment on the runway. So idle reverse, config 3 landing. So a bit higher pitch than normal. Apart from that, missed approach is non-standard. So we're going to have to be careful with the yaw moment since we're doing manual flight. Well, that's one requirement actually, I forgot to tell you. So when you do your first approach, engine out, actually it's both approaches, you need to fly manually from about 1,500 feet downward. So the authorities want you to fly this approach manual. You don't you can use the flight director, but you need to have manual flight, manual thrust. Good. Yeah, so missed approach, be careful when going to Toga. Be ready for the yaw moment, be ready for the input with the right rudder. Trim the aircraft, and it's the same thing. So go around flaps, then I'll read the modes, positive climb, gear up, trim the aircraft, and then we put the autopilot on and continue straight out 7.4 miles. Acceleration again is going to be in, what did we say, 2,100 feet. Hey Tavers, how you doing? No, we don't. So in the 737, Laborchef, or Dr. Clegg, yeah, so in the 737, yes, I remember we did that. Here in the 320, we don't. So we got glide slope blue, lock blue, cat 3 single, autopilot 1+2. Going down 3,000 out blue. Tavos, how are you doing? Greetings to Down Under. Matty, you ask what would happen to know how long flight path angle heading speed stays on the MCP if you only select it but not activate it. Well, no, it stays there until there's a mode change. I mean, I know that heading, there's a thing with the heading select, that's about, was it 30 seconds or something? Can you use selected speed with managed descent? Yes, you can. Yes, that's a weird thing in the Airbus. You can actually use managed speed for the climb and the descent. But you can't do it if you're not on nav mode. So then you can't have open descent, then you can't have managed descent or managed climb. But yes, if you managed descent or managed climb, you can use selected speed. That you can do. But be aware that your profile then will have to be recalculated. Alright, let's check. Makes sense. Here comes flaps 1. Speed is checked. Flaps 1. Speed managed. If you have to, for a reason, depart with the... Oh, no, I have already trim circuit immediately. Yeah, so again, you can't depart with dual radial altimeter failure. What is when you're flying a nav and you spin the knob, but you actually pull it. You don't pull it, actually. Okay, so you mean this. So 290. Yeah, have a look. See if that that resets. Flaps 2, speed is checked. The 3,000 at 7.9 miles. So that's the right light slope. Missed approach, I'm going to put 5,000 again. Missed approach 5,000 is set. Here comes gear down. Thank you much. Status, nothing new. Remove status and the fuel. Yeah, it's still fine. That's absolutely no problem for the A320. I'm not going to start using crossbleed crossbleed open or cross fuel feed open and so on, because you know, then I forget to close it and get fuel yo-yo. But you can, by all means, if you know, if you think you need to do it, then do it. But that kind of imbalance is perfectly fine. Nothing to worry about. So yeah, right now it's still on 284. It's pre-selected. Do I have any experience with capturing the wrong glide slope? I personally not, but I know of cases where that has actually happened. Yes. I just need to check with my daughter. Just called. Hold on.
$1,000.
All right, there we go. So landing checklist, eco memo, landing no blue. Is it possible to relight after agent discharge? Well, agent, I don't know technically if that's possible if you already discharged. Actually, let's fly manual. That's required. So manual fly. Cat 1. So the friends at Lisbon are waiting. So what we're going to do is we're going to land, and then we're going to do one takeoff with one RTO. So we're going to skip the go around. We already had a go around. There we go. I can see the Parpies. No approach lights, unfortunately.
500. 400.
Ooh, I hate that when it goes in and out. So careful with the glide. Come on.
100 above.
Runways and sides.
Minimum.
Continue.
$100. 50, 40, 30, 20. Retard 10.
Right, settle down. Right, idle reverse only as we briefed. We've got spoilers, reverse green decel. And there we go. Brakes. So you can see the engine out case isn't really too spectacular in a sense. So yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's more a procedural thing, or the initial recovery. That's you know, maybe an issue for some people. There's obviously some very strict limitations to how far you're allowed to drift off, because there is a safe sector for the engine out case regarding obstacle clearance, so you're not supposed to go outside of that. That's important. Yeah, procedure knowledge and so on. Missed approach. Well, so go around is obviously a bit of a challenge as well, but it's not. I mean, it's not as if, you know, it's all, you know, extremely complicated. That's why you practice these things. Lol. That's really weird. Hang on. Both daughters just called me at the same time. Hang. Okay, so I'm just quickly going to go turn your aircraft around, and I'm going to set the conditions for the RTO. And the thing is that the RTO is done at LVO, so low vis ops. Remember, guys, what the lowest one is we can do in the A320? The lowest RVR? Fred, thank you much. Thank you much. Stay safe, take care. Just said that. I am going to go ahead and clear all the failures. Then we need to restart the engine. Obviously, we've got APU running, so we can do that. Yeah, 125 exactly. That's the lowest. That's the lowest you can do. Good. So we've got that done. Engine failure is cleared. Now I need to make sure that all the switches are in. That's good. So let's do engine start. Got good pressure. Go on. There we go. Let's start. Yeah, so aviation, Alex, that's correct. The reason being that that the light comes on at 70% of the reached deceleration phase. So let's say you have only 50%. There's no decel light. You will call out, but you still have a feeling that it's decelerating, and maybe you can judge as a pilot, you know, that the deceleration is good enough. But also, what do you do if you don't use auto brakes? Hey, Nerd, how you doing? So, there are cases where we land without auto brakes. So what happens then? Well, then you have to kind of judge yourself if you have deceleration or not. So you tap the brakes, you make sure that the brakes are working, and you have a feeling that the aircraft is decelerating. So then you can do your decel. But that's correct. That has nothing to do with the decel light. If it's missing because you selected, then you would call out, because then something's not correct, because it's not reaching the desired deceleration amount. Yeah, so 125 meters. Let me just do that. The weather, let's set the wind at 110 at 5. Typical kind of foggy weather. Visibility 125 meters. Temperature 23. The rest is fine. So let's have a look. So I'm sorry for the clipping. That's the issue with the delivery. So that's what it would look like. 125 meters. But normally would have lights. Let's have a look. Let me see what time the lights come on here. Let's do it this way. You like this game? Yeah, the nerd, don't worry. Yeah, so we're just going to do a rejected takeoff. So we're practicing today for a simulator Checkride that I'm doing this week. So, yeah, so loss of brakes is a memory item. So first you release the brakes, you go max reverse. That's the first thing you need to do. Then you go and switch off the anti-skid nozzle steering switch. And that's why you have to release the brakes first of all. You switch that off. And then you apply brake pressure very carefully. It's either limited automatically by the new systems to 1000 psi. If it's an older Airbus, you have to do that yourself so that you don't blow the tires, 1000 psi. And if that doesn't work, the last resort you have is application of parking brake, because that's the acupressure. So if you apply the parking brakes, the pressure slowly increases, and you can cycle the parking brakes, and that way, that's kind of a last resort. But that will normally mean that you would probably blow the tires. Alright, let me just see what's happening here. Right, that's weird, isn't it? So I've set the weather now to 125 meters, but I don't get the runway lights. Now, normally that's something you would have in LVO conditions. But doesn't matter. We can still do this. So 125 meters. Although, yeah, let's just do this. All right, so 5,000 feet. Let me do quickly LOWW, LOWW. Just to put something in here, guys. 5,000. Flight plan. Oh, actually, hang on, this way. It's 1-1 this time, so 1-1. No need for departure route, just put that in there. Flaps 1, and then we just do something. Standard values. Good. Failure, we're going to set something. So go ahead and obviously we want something that may lead into an evacuation. One thing though, that's the thing. The problem is with the app. And let me do it this way. Let me just do it here through the MCDU. Because I found that it programs the failure at the given speed. So that's a bit of a downside. So I can actually arm it here. And I don't want to activate it straight away, so I'm going to go ahead and go through here. Fire, engine to fire, there it was. So engine to fire, insert speed at, let's say, 130 knots. Insert, there we go. So now that's armed. Good. Yes, so aviation, Alex, we are. So once we activate, so once we pull on the levers of the thrust reverse, that's it. We're committed to land. Are you referring to the tap accident or incident in Copenhagen? Because there's speculation going on there that that they already activated and then did it go around. Good. Are we ready? So RTO, we've got a checklist normally that has the evac procedure printed on it. We have a QH checklist for that. So once that's the case, we'll see if that's required. So in principle, what happens when we do the RTO, we come to a complete stop. We set the parking brake. That's very important so the aircraft doesn't start rolling again while we maybe do an evacuation. So park brake set. Then we, in our airline, we actually go and get the cabin alerted. So we would call attention crew and station, attention crew and station. Then you would have the flight attendants stand up from their seats. So unbuckle, stand up from their seats, take their evacuation positions, monitor the situation inside and outside of the aircraft. And if they see anything suspicious like smoke, like fire, etc., they will call us and give us the infos. Good. Right, let's do this. Take off. And have a look how quickly the aircraft stops. And that's just like the real aircraft. It happens really quickly. It's incredible. Okay. Sorry, let's just stop here. Now that's a reason to stop the aircraft. Takeoff config. That's because the engine failure. That should be 0. There we go. Right, let me just reset that. Okay, let's try again. So, takeoff. Trim set. Yeah, now the manflex doesn't come over. Let's say it's manflex 55, SRS runway, all the thrust blue. Thrust set. So you can see 125 meters is not a lot. As the aircraft accelerates, it gets faster and faster. Here's 100 knots. Right. Stop. Here comes reverse. So the pilot monitor of FO would do his call outs. Look how quickly we stop. Right, reverse a close. High run. Attention crew on station. Attention crew on station. ECAM actions. Engine 2 fire. And the first officer would already give a call to ATC. Let the tower know, hey, engine 2 fire. Stopping about mid part of the runway. You can see that here. Send the fire brigade. Hey, terrain ahead. Right, so ECAM actions, engine 2 fire, engine master 2 off. Now, this is not monitored anymore on the ground. The pilot, I watch and monitor his actions, but he just does it. He doesn't confirm it. Agent 2 fire, push button push. Engine 1 discharge. Agent 1 discharge. Agent 2 discharge. So, did it say engine 1 master off? Oh, disregard. Oh my god. Yeah, they did say engine 1, didn't it? Lol. I was getting confused there. Like, say, hey, why does it say engine 1 master off? That doesn't make sense. GG, FSLabs. Right, engine 2 shutdown, disregard. Stop ECAM. So, here comes the thing. Now, we stopped the ECAM because we did the firefighting. There's nothing else we can do. And here's the deal. For us, we only go into the evacuation list if it did. All right, I'm not imagining things then. All right, thanks, guys. Yeah, I think I'll start seeing things, but no, it did say engine 1. Really weird. Cool. So the question is there a need to go into the evacuation checklist? Because if we started what we are supposed to do, we're supposed to go through it until the end, meaning decision evacuation required or not required. By doing so, you're switching off all of the engines. You don't have the APU running, so it does get pretty dark in the cabin, and that may lead passengers to become panicky. And maybe we've seen it happen. We've seen people become panicky and starting ripping open, you know, the escape hatches over the wings and so on. So exactly, hey, little Ranger. So before going into the evacuation checklist, we quickly have a quick scan. So the engine fire layout is up here as well. We can't really call the tower because he can't see us here, so he can give us no infos. If the fire brigade was here, 12155 is a frequency that we could talk to them on many airports, but they're not here yet. So the only cues we have would be to maybe open the window. So the first officer, since engine 2, he could actually go. No, not close that. He could actually go and open this window. And he can actually lean out far enough. And I've seen first officer lean out pretty far. So they can actually lean out and have a look at the engine. Which is not textured. So, why is that? So yeah, he could, is that because of the weather? So he could actually have a look at the engine and have a look if it's actually on fire or not. So that would be a good cue. Another info would come from the cabin crew. So let's say we get a call from the cabin saying there's black smoke coming from the right-hand wing, and the first officer also says, hey Captain, yeah, there's flames on the engine still. So even though there's no more warning, there's still visual indications that we have a fire. So then we would go, right, EMA evac, start procedure. Aircraft parking brake stopped on. It stopped on. ATC notified. They are notified. Differential pressure only if manual cabin pressure has been used. Disregard. Engine master 1 and 2 off. Off. Cabin crew notified. Is notified. Then fire push button. Engine and APU push. Push. Agents. Hang on, can we do this? No, not this. Where's the? We don't have it in our aircraft, but here we have the emergency. Here we go. So we would not do that in our checklist. So agents as required. Well, the other engine and the APU is not burning, so we're not going to discharge anything there. So evacuation required, not required. This is like the last check to make sure that we take the right decision regarding evacuation, because evacuation have shown to be quite dangerous to passengers. So there's been many injuries and even deaths after they evacuated. So you have to make sure that evacuations are justified. In our case, of course, it will be the case, and I could say now passenger evacuation, or I could say passenger evacuation, keep closed right-hand exits because we have a fire on the right-hand side. I could say that, right? So if I needed to, and that's it. And then we would leave as well through the cockpit door and support the cabin crew for the evacuation. Quick deboarding via stairs? No. Terrain ahead here on the runway. There's obviously no... I mean, the fire brigade does have trucks with stairs on them, so they can actually do that. Yeah, so Klima, I think you're referring to the incident or the accident in San Francisco, where apparently, because of the foam, there was some people actually being run over by fire trucks. Yeah. So that is definitely a danger that you have to be aware of. Good. Right, so a couple of questions. Would you prepare the cabin? What do you mean, Emery? For the engine out? No. No, I would not. Fuel balance, yeah, thank you. Why don't align the red dot with the white dot? For terrain ahead, it doesn't work here. For me, because you don't have that kind of peripheral vision, that does not work for me. Right, if I go and put the red dot over the white dot, I can't even see things. I would have to zoom out. And then that will be the right position then. You can do that. For me, I think it's the lower side that doesn't line up or something. I just don't do it. You can do that if you want. I don't. What if the fire brigade is on strike? Well, Rodeo, pretty much, if you want to depart, you can't. In a very dire emergency, you could land at an airport that doesn't have firefighting capability. And you get told what firefighter capability is available. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that depends on what kind of fire trucks are available. And then you have a certain minimum fire brigade category that you need to take off and land. Yeah, and depending on how big the aircraft is, you need maybe 8 or 9. For us, 319, 320 would be 5 minimum requirement. The 321 has a minimum requirement of 6. Yeah, 125 meters, Brennell, is the lowest for takeoff. 125. Oh, I mean, yeah, if it's foggy, Brennell, the fire brigade does have a big issue regarding finding the aircraft. Can the captain lead out as fast as officer? Rodeo, no. Have you heard in Microsoft is now playable fire truck? Is it really? I need to read into that, Breno. Yeah, thanks. I'll have a look into that. Cool. All right, guys. I'm going to reset. So we got another stream coming up. We're going to fly the Challenger. Our dear friends in Lisbon are waiting. It's actually Liberation Day in Portugal, so they come online for us, so I don't want to keep them waiting for any longer. So give me 10 minutes, we'll stop the stream here, we'll restart in about 5 to 10 minutes, and then we're going to be on X-Plane 11 with the Hot Start Challenger. I'm looking forward to. John, you're saying at Manchester last year the fire services had to attend an incident in the terminal. Yeah, so John, that could be a short-term degradation of the fighting capability. And you can actually have the airport closed down because of that, yeah. Does your company allow outlet connection with Cat 1? No, only Cat 2 or Cat 3. April Revolution Day. Hang on. Okay, so, all right. Cool. See you in a couple of minutes, guys. Once again, before we go, a big thank you, guys. You guys were so amazing today. So, Frederick Olivier, thank you for the 10 euros. Danny for the $10.71. Brandon for the 50 euros. And then Ufishy with the $100. Oh my God. HB7 also with the $5. And Andrew with the 2 euros. Thank you, everyone, for the amazing support. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So Voyager, when the Phoenix is released, or at the time I'm allowed to stream the Phoenix, I will do more regular, content regarding failures, and I will keep you guys involved with the the process, decision making. You can guess about stuff and so on. So that definitely continues. No, so I just need to restart the PC so we get onto the other partition so I can use X-Plane 11. Yeah, for the next route. And we're going to flying from Lisbon to Madeira in the Challenger, and if anyone wants to join, we're going to be on Matson. All right, guys. See you in a couple of minutes. Thank you so much once again.